Today's video is going to be a little bit different as I'm not going in depth with a person or like anyone in general. It's mainly just about old Hollywood and the stuff they did to their stars. So if you would like to subscribe and comment and like, that would make me very happy. But let's blast to the past.
Healthy bodies. They are stars.
Someone must have an appetite.
That is a big problem.
Line up for lucky
In this video, we're going to be talking about all things old Hollywood diets from the 1920s all the way to the 1950s. I'm not going to be going in depth into the 50s because there's probably going to be a lot of false things, especially towards celebrities like Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn and all of those, and I really don't want to step in hot water. But we're going to be starting off in the 1920s. So the 1920s, they focused on what they called the flapper girl. She was a young woman known for their energetic freedom, embracing a lifestyle viewed by many as insane.
A little fancy. She drank. She ran around. She slept around. She had a good time.
Their look was they had bobbed hair, powder and rouge. They had skinny eyebrows. They had low-cut clothes, no corset, very, very lean. And you know why I mention like the fashion part of it is because the fashion is really important to the body type. I mean, that's how fashion gets made and that's how trends get made. So pointing out the fashion is very important when you're pointing out their diets and stuff. So old Hollywood had a whole lot of diets in the 1920s that were kind of considered crazy and kind of considered not crazy. But here is the first one. It is called the Medical Millennium Diet. It was created by William B. Hayes. You would chew slowly. You could only eat one dish per meal and have regular enemas. Did I say that right? So enemas is basically where you have injections of fluids and it would be used to cleanse or stimulate the emptying of your bowel. That means you pooped. It would just make you regularly poop. The second one we're going to be talking about is the Diet and Health with Key to Calories. So it was created by this doctor named Lulu Hunt Peters, and I just think it's crazy her name was Lulu. So this diet was specifically for calorie counting, and it's kind of what brought, to like calorie counting. She said her main thing was food was fuel. So they would have like a sample lunch of cottage cheese, one French roll, but you gotta make sure it has no butter on it, and literally that was it.
Someone must have an appetite.
Flapper diet. So the flapper diet was kind of just like a diet made by society, I guess. It wasn't really made by a certain person, but just as like society grew and like stuff like that. So the flapper diet had a multitude of different things such as laxative laced weight loss gums, cigarettes, and cigarettes were mainly used to suppress your hunger. But cigarette companies actually noticed that people were using cigarettes as a weight loss prevention. So they were like, oh yeah, let's target that and talk about it. So Lucky Strike was one of the first cigarette companies to really target weight loss. And they began advertising their brand as a weight loss supplement. To keep a slender figure, no one can deny, reach for a Lucky instead of a sweet. And people really bought into this. People started reaching for a Lucky instead of a sweet because they were told that it was a healthier choice. And as we look at it now, we know that's obviously not really true. During the time of the 1920s, there would be silent film actors that would do some of these diets, like Clara Bow. So one of the big diet methods was to wear tight clothes and then roll around on the floor like a bowling ball.
To claim it. And he got it!
according to itsrosie.com, Bo only ate around 500 calories, and I think we need 2,500 a day. So literally that's nothing, and I would be angry all the time if I was Clara. You would have orange juice for breakfast, toast and salad for lunch, no dressing. But for dinner, she would have a meatless dinner, and I'm not really sure what that entails. They literally just said meatless dinner, and I'm like, well, I have that every day. So Jean Harlow followed a tomato-based 4-day diet. When she needed to drop weight for a role or a certain thing she was doing, she would eat 2 tomatoes for every meal and black coffee. Now, if you don't know this, but black coffee, or coffee is basically like a laxative. So if you're anything like me, you don't drink coffee because you will, that will happen. We have another silent film star, I think. Her name is Nita Naldi. Nita Naldi. Oh, that's a beautiful name. She had a high protein diet. Like, this girl was, I'm not entirely sure who gave her all of this advice, but like, she was living her best life. The lambs that she was eating definitely were not living their best lives, that's for sure. So she would have a lamb chop and pineapple plan. So she had a high protein fat diet. She would have 2 pineapple slices for breakfast. And then for lunch, she would have 1 lamb chop and 1 slice of pineapple. Then for dinner, this girl would have 2 pineapple slices. Look at this. She would have 2 lamb chops. Okay, moving on to the 1930s. So the 1930s, the silhouette for that time was soft and slim. So they had what they call the bias cut dress. Now the bias cut dress was very popular during that time, and what I mean by that is they really went with the curves of the lady. Now looking into a lot of the diets, they were a lot more problematic, that's for sure. A lot more that harmed their bodies. So the grapefruit diet, otherwise known as the Hollywood diet, now this diet is kind of still seen as, like, people still use this diet.
$3.25 for a grapefruit? What is this, Venezuela?
Online they said that they would have 18 days of grapefruit, but in with that they would have orange, toast, vegetable egg combos, but they would have all of that and the grapefruit. But then a lot of other websites was like, no, they would just have the grapefruit. One actress that kind of popularized this, and it's kind of rumored that she popularized it, so I'm not saying she did it, but I'm saying the internet said she did it. Her name was Ethel Barrymore. She was rumored to have made it popular throughout Hollywood, and she would eat this and so on. Okay, the next one we're getting into is the drug part of it, which is not good. Now, the 1930s was really known for amping up their actors with drugs like DNP. So DNP was created in 1933 by 3 Stanford students. They found that a chemical called D4-dintrophenol sped up their body's metabolism by 30 to 50%, meaning that their body would just go really faster. People on the pills could drop around 2 pounds per week. It was used in, get this, it was used in fabric dye, wood preservatives, pesticides, and explosives.
Well, she'll be okay until morning.
Side effects for this were not good, obviously. They had cataracts, skin lesions, liver and heart problems, and an eerie yellow tinge to the eyes. The last and final one has to do with more with Hollywood and keeping up their actresses. So sadly, a lot of them would be put on pep pills, otherwise known as amphetamines. So this was widely used to keep actors and actresses awake on set for long periods of time. This would also lose their appetite, and famous actors like Judy Garland was forced on these pills at a very young age and probably up until her death. Also, Judy Garland, they put her on a diet of chicken broth, cottage cheese, and coffee. And the person that like did this was Louis B. Mayer, and I could totally make a video about Louis B. Mayer. He used to call her like a hunchback all the time. Freaking jerk, man. Okay, so we're heading on to the 1940s. So the silhouette for the 1940s was slim but structured. I can't handle this lighting. It won't go away. So one of the weird diets that they used in Hollywood at the time was something that I actually did in high school called the cayenne cocktail. So it was created by a health practitioner, Stanley Burroughs. This was considered like a cleanse, kind of like what you see on like websites that are like dodgy. They advised together a cocktail made up of lemon juice, maple syrup, water, and obviously the star of the show, cayenne pepper. So this would detox the liver, and I think it would make you either poop more or something along those lines. Okay, this isn't really like considered a diet, but I thought it was kind of funny. So Betty Grable, how she lost weight when she was acting. She would mainly dance, which is pretty cool. You go, girl. Love a dancer. But she trained with this like Hollywood person, like very big, named Dick Klein, and he introduced her to bird pecking. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like you want to lose the weight off of your like neck, and you go like that. For a snack, she would actually eat garlic and onions. And if you don't know me, I'm an onion girl.
I love crab.
Onions.
Brother, this guy stinks.
The 1950s, the new look was in. So it would have a larger bust, a small waist, and narrow hips. So a really, really funny diet that they did. Not really funny, more so like, okay, was the cabbage diet. So the cabbage diet was mainly like cabbage soup, and it held claims that you could lose weight in just a week by eating only soup, but eating it like 3 to 4 times a day, but only soup. Overall, this caused dizziness, and in reality, they actually lost water weight. So after stopping the diet, they would just regain their weight. Now, if you want to lose weight, go lose it, but don't use any of these dumb, well, not all of them are dumb, but don't use any of these harmful, dangerous tactics. It's just to talk about and have a conversation about. But thank you so much for watching. I know this video is a little bit different. It's kind of like a conversational piece. It's more so not like a informative piece. It's more so just like conversating about this kind of stuff. And these videos are a lot easier for me to make, as I don't need to find like 10 years worth of stuff. But if you would like to visit my other sites, I will put them in the bio below. I am on TikTok, and I am also on Instagram, and I sell vintage clothes on Depop. So if you would like to check those out, that would make me so happy, and thank you for blasting to the past with me.